So it seems like, I mean, the Twilight thing obviously exploded and made you world famous and paparazzi chased and all that kind of stuff. But it seemed like you had a lineup of movies you had done in the year or two before that were kind of like waiting to show up over here, at least, that were actually much more smaller, more complex, shall we say.
Yeah, I mean, basically up until Twilight, I would audition for everything, and then the only parts I did were the parts I got. I would do like thousands of auditions. I mean, I would do 3-4 auditions every week, and then it's just kind of, anything you got, and then you try and you make of it what you can, and it was weird after Twilight. It's kind of to suddenly, that aspect of being able to choose, kind of, and also but I've never really felt like I was in a completely solid position to be like, oh, I'll just pick and choose my jobs, like, because I mean, even when the first Twilight hit, basically every single part that came was in not necessarily like I'm playing a vampire, but it was kind of like the obvious part that you would get, and because I had a bunch of sequels to do, I was very conscious of, if I played the same part in a different movie, then you're putting another nail in your coffin, basically.
Yeah. So you pushed off a little bit.
Yeah, but I mean, it was a pragmatic reasoning more just as much as an artistic one. Like, I just thought and also I wasn't. Still now, I don't have a comfort zone of a performance that I would go like, oh, I'll just settle back and play parts like this all the time. I don't know. I don't have one. So,
would you want to have one? Would you want to be comfortable going into a set?
I can't even imagine it. I mean, I'm so uncomfortable in life. I can barely leave my house. I don't think. I mean, if there's one day I'm suddenly like, oh, everything makes sense now. I just don't think it's going to happen.
But I mean, do you want to be scared when you pick do you pick parts that you think you can't do? Is that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that is my comfort zone. It's kind of the only time I feel comfortable is when, like, I like doing things that feel crazy to me, and I feel a little comfortable if I feel that other people would be a little bit frightened to do it, because I've never really been burnt, so like I'm kind of like I'm invincible. but like I do feel that is my comfort zone, is to kind of do something. When I explain the plot to someone, they'll be like, "What are you doing? You're completely crazy." But yeah, that's I like the adrenaline.
Has it changed at all? I mean, now that you have the choice, now that you have the ability to, get some movies made, do you have any urge to, I don't know, go to make Guys and Dolls, or go do something that you is kind of silly or lighter, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I just don't want to do stuff that's boring. I mean, that's it. It's kind of, I mean, that's really my only thing now, anyway. I mean, but
so is that in the character, or is that in the people who you're working with, or is that in the idea of the movie?
It's got to have something which is kind of. I mean, I mean, really, my kind of how I've chosen to do stuff is just it changes all the time. I mean, it's almost completely random. I mean, it's just sort of, you just wait for things to inspire you. I mean, it's like, I mean, every single I've never really been able to figure out how to capitalize on momentum. Like, it's kind of, because I always feel the only time this is going to be the day.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't concentrate now.
Children are distracting you. So you were saying it's somewhat random.
Yeah, no, it's just, I always kind of, the only time I ever really feel like I get a job that I want is when I'm at the absolute bottom of the trough of depression and thinking I'm never going to work again, and nothing is ever going to come up, and I don't know what I'm doing. My life is total shambles, and like.
So you still have that? You still have that?
Oh yeah. Like 4 or 5 months after, because I basically I never really get another job until about 4 months after I finished the last one, and like 4 months of being unemployed for anyone, like it drives you nuts. And I've done longer than that as well.
So is that just circumstance, or do you tell your agents not to bother you while you're working, or?
No, which this is when I'm not working. This is when I finish the job,
Right.
and then it's kind of, and yeah, just waiting for something that hits you and that you think you can do. Because I'm always just thinking that there's the possibility if you do something bad which you can't stand behind, then you potentially take 10 steps back. So yeah, but it's weird. It's like always at the darkest moment, then suddenly a job arrives. Always.
Do you have hobbies?
It's terrible. I'm literally people.
It's like Parade Magazine Live. Sorry.
I mean, I wish I did. I mean, I'll go through like phases with things, but like, it's weird. Whenever I try and think, I'll try and explain to people what my life is, and it's like I don't understand. What do you do? I wait. I'm waiting. I'm in stasis.
You're just in the cocoon waiting for the magic thing to happen.
Yeah, exactly. Just praying.
So you don't like vacationing, I guess?
Yeah, I always kind of fantasize about vacations, but
you never do it?
I can never do it. Yeah, it's kind of. I think I've done it like once in years. Yeah, I don't. I play music and stuff, but I mean, it's kind of. I mean, I read a lot of scripts and just looking for things constantly. I always feel like my time's running out.
Huh. Do you think, are there things that you feel like people aren't asking you to do that you should be asked to do? Do you feel typed at all, or do you feel like you just need a special director who wants to push you and wants to...
Yeah, no, I mean, I feel it's kind of like, I find it interesting when someone sees something in you that you don't really realize is there necessarily. It's kind of, it's weird because I don't feel like that strongly about my own identity, and so I kind of feel like it's like even with Josh and Benny's new movie, I was like, yeah, any part, I can play any part.
But that was the character in the Safdies movie is definitely not you.
Yeah, no,
by any stretch, I would say.
But it's kind of, it's like fantasy. There's elements of fantasy of myself, and like, it's kind of, I think also like I try and do parts. I mean, my ideal parts are parts that either you can figure out how to explain something to yourself, or it's sort of all your little fears and kind of insecurities about things. You know, in reality, you can play a part like Connie in Good Time, where it's kind of you have someone who has absolutely no fear and no shame. And it's like, and I live a life of constant fear and shame. That is my vacation. It's kind of, it's to have this, to just, you can try on this other person's skin and feel, it feels very comfortable at the time. I mean, even when I watch clips from the movie now, like, it's kind of like there's a lot. Even though Connie's not a particularly nice person, there's definitely elements of him which I wish I could take into my true self.
Are you sad when this show's over, when you have to wrap it up, or are you ready to be done when you're in that far in?
Yeah, generally like the last week I get kind of antsy about things because it's kind of, I don't like saying goodbye to people, and it's but with this, I mean, this was definitely a fun one, and it's also been it's been nice to kind of have this long tail with like talking about it afterwards. And
the James Gray movie? Was that...
I mean, there's always something we have to do at the end of a job, which like is a massive kind of period at the end. Like, at the James Gray movie, I'd had this huge beard for, 7 or 8 months beforehand, and then I lost so much weight on the movie, and then on the last day in Colombia I shaved it all off, and then you kind of like your face, you didn't realize how much weight you'd lost, and like you have like a half a chin. And it kind of, I definitely felt like there was a sort of a rebirth afterwards. And then with Good Time, I dyed my hair so many times during the job that my hair was just falling out. So you can shave your head and kind of go into the next thing.
Start all over again. So was
nice feeling.
Is growing that beard part of the fun on something like that? That you're...
Yeah, I mean, the beard, the real guy I was playing just had this big moustache, and I was initially intending to just have the moustache, and I couldn't face just having a long moustache for months beforehand. But when we did the camera test, and it's like, oh, the kind of sort of more interesting with the beard. But yeah, it's nice. It's kind of, I mean, there's something intoxicating about changing your appearance, and suddenly you realize that people treat you differently. Like it's even like such simple things. You have a shaved head, and people walking, even if they recognize you, they think they treat you totally differently. And it's kind of, it's very, very freeing. You kind of to get rid of that responsibility.
So what was the draw for the Grey movie?
I mean, I always wanted to work with James.
James Gray.
So I've been trying to work with him before that, like maybe 6 years ago. But James was basically the first person after I did the first Twilight that was who I wanted to work with. And we went through talking about a bunch of different things up until Lost City. I mean, I was attached to Lost City for, I mean, at least 4 or 5 years before it happened, with loads of different iterations of cast and everything.
So were you imagining yourself doing The Immigrant and imagining yourself?
I mean, not so much. I mean, I never really imagined myself in those things. I just always, I mean, I just love Joaquin in all those parts, and I just kind of, I generally drawn to directors who, when a performance is, I just thought were amazing performances, and when you just kind of, there's a pattern, and like every single time he was working with James, it was like these amazing performances came out, and they really influenced me when I was starting, and so yeah, you just try and track down those people.
Are there other directors you're dying to work for?
I've always wanted to work with Jacques Audiard, but
somebody I talked to the other day just finished a movie with him.
Jake.
Yeah.
And
oh yeah.
Yeah.
There you
go. And mainly, also because I saw the beat my heart skip when I was like probably 19 or something, and I just thought it's just like his male performances are just like, they're just unbelievable. And,
he pushes people to the edge of their comfort.
Yeah.
And beyond.
And there's a rhythm to it, and it's just great. But yeah, there's lots of people. Ciro Guerra, who I'm doing something with next year.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the performances in Embrace of the Serpent were just like unbelievable. Yeah, there's a bunch of people.